More about that in a bit. So, interesting article from Jory Epstein. She's been a Cowboy insider for a while. And Jerry Jones has been talking about this, that what Jory points out here is very, very interesting with Dak Prescott. And it's a real thing, and it's something I think for those of us who have always viewed Dak as basically Kirk Cousins with a bigger brand. Can win a lot of games, can win the division, limitations. Then there's those that believe Dak is an A, top 10. They're offended if you don't discuss it. But as Jory points out, Prescott's 1.7 pass interception ratio ranked 13th among 97 quarterbacks, okay, with at least 100 passes. Okay, that's different. That's last year, right? Okay, so he's kind of average. This year, his rate is third worst in the league. Why is that? He's throwing more interceptions. Well, why he's making more mistakes? Because Dak Prescott has always been, when was he at his best? Cowboys had the best line. Zeke was the best running back in the league. He went 13-3. They didn't ask a lot. Think of it like years ago when they used to have typewriters, right? And somebody could brag, I type 80 words a minute. If I made you type 130 words a minute, you'd make more mistakes. So Dallas this year is asking Dak to do more. Why? The offensive line. Tyron Smith hasn't played. Michael Gallup wasn't there when the year started. They traded Amari Cooper. Schultz, the tight end, Dalton Schultz, very good tight end. Hasn't been 100% many games this year. So they've asked Dak to elevate and fill in the gaps. Dak has always been Kirk Cousins. He has always been Jared Goff. I think he's more talented, but similar to Jimmy Garoppolo. He is not capable of filling the gap, going to 120 words a minute without more mistakes. If you look, as this team has had some limitations offensively due to Gallup's injury, Schultz injury, no Amari Cooper, no Tyron Smith. In the last 5 games, you look at it and think Dallas is rolling, but look at Dak's numbers. He lost to Green Bay with a passer rating of 78, and that's not even a good defense. He beat the Giants but had 2 picks. He beat the Colts but had 2 picks. And he beat Indianapolis, but the defense basically led the day and blew it open in the fourth quarter. First 2.5 quarters, we were all asking, why is this game close? The Colts are terrible. So Dak needs the team to be whole, and then they can pull him along. Like a Kirk Cousins, he can make big throws, like a Jared Goff. But when Jared Goff would have an injury, guard, center, guard, wasn't the same. Was not the same quarterback. That's why McVay went and got Matt Stafford. Kirk Cousins. If Justin Jefferson goes down, put him in prime time with a pass rush. The interesting thing here is Dallas becoming a team that is winning despite Dak? Now, that sounds harsh, but right now Dallas has a top 3 scoring defense. 32 teams, they're top 3. This is an elite defense. They are a top 7 rushing team. 32 teams, top 7. Yet Dak is one of 3 quarterbacks that has more picks than games started. The other 2 are Matt Ryan and Davis Mills. Dak is not a top 10 quarterback. The more words you demanded somebody type in the 80s and 90s on a typewriter, if they're 80 words a minute and you ask for 130, you're going to get more mistakes. The Lions have done a very good job drafting offense. Goff is mostly protected. Garoppolo in San Francisco, mostly protected. Justin Jefferson to Minnesota when Dalvin Cook is healthy in a run game. Kirk Cousins mostly protected. Dak similarly needs that. And this year, Amari's gone, tight end's hurt, Gallup came in late, O-line's not as good. Now, they add T.Y. Hilton. Tyron Smith should come back. Looks like Tony Pollard is emerging as a star. Let's hope Dalton Schultz now stays healthy the rest of the year. That is not to say they wouldn't win multiple playoff games. They are getting healthier. But Jerry Jones talked about this. We know Jerry loves Dak. He talked about this on his radio show about the interceptions going up this year.
Those interceptions can neutralize great execution and effort in other parts of the game. But I will tell you now, the definition of aggressiveness doesn't have to include turnovers. It does not have to include that. Aggressive does not. And I do like aggressiveness without the turnovers.
Let's be fair now. Mahomes is aggressive and doesn't historically have a lot of turnovers. Dak's not Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers, been pretty aggressive. Doesn't have a lot of turnovers. Dak's not Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers in recent years has even pulled back, plays safe too often. So it's easy to say you can be aggressive without the turnovers. Not if you're Kirk Cousins, Garoppolo, Goff, or Dak. That's for an elite class, all-time talent, top 6. Joe Burrow's aggressive. Even he, early in his career, had more turnovers. You know what Burrow is now as a top 3 quarterback? Aggressive without the turnovers. He's different. There's very few. I was thinking about this morning driving in. It's the class in my lifetime, and I'm talking like 70s when I started. I remember the first NFL game I ever watched that I can remember. It's the 72 Super Bowl. It's Washington, Miami, Garo Premium. Dolphins won like 14-7. Billy Kilmer, George Allen against Don Shula, I think were the coaches. From that point forward, there's always been like 3 or 4 different quarterbacks, then a bunch of guys that can win you games. And right now, Mahomes is different. Allen's different. Burrow's different. In my opinion, Burrow's different. Aaron Rodgers is declining. Tom Brady has declined. Jalen Hurts is ascending, but it's a very, very tiny class. Like any other business, 5% are elite. I don't care if it's real estate. I don't care if it's pilots or quarterbacks. And then there's that group of about 12 guys. Dak is part of that. You can win your division with them. You can win a playoff game with them. But Jerry's saying, hey, we can be aggressive and not have the turnovers. That's not fair. Mahomes can do that. There's one Patrick Mahomes on the planet and a kid at USC that kind of plays like him. That's it on the planet. J-Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
You know who he's going to miss this week, Dak, is Terrence Steele, his right tackle. Underplayed in the media because there's all this Odell stuff. That's a big loss. You know who they're facing? The Jags and Josh Allen coming off the edge. That's not ideal for Dak.
Jags and Trevor Lawrence, you mean?
Well, Josh Allen is an edge rusher coming up against the backup. Apparently, Ball is going to be the backup. We'll see. That's a cause for concern for.
I like the fact that you know the edge rusher for the Jags. That's why you're a betting maven.
All right, let's go to the first story. Jalen Hurts, currently the favorite to take home the MVP award, leading the league in passer rating and a slew of other stats. But don't tell that to Micah Parsons. He's questioning whether Hurts is truly deserving of the NFL honor. Here's what Micah Parsons had to say.
We look at the Eagles. Is it Hurts or the team?
I think it's a little bit of both, man. I think
It's system and team.
I think it's a little bit of both, man, because they got a great offensive line, which helps Hurts. Hurts has A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. They got a good running game.
Miles Sanders.
They scheme that they have.
O-line. I'm not trying to make no enemies. I just love the game so much, and I understand it so much that I can't. When things are off, I just can't hold it in. I almost gotta say something.
Well, first of all, everybody is part of a collective. Brady won the Super Bowl in Tampa when his O-line was healthy, and he beat Mahomes, who lost both tackles.
Yeah.
And it was a blowout. So even Patrick Mahomes needs help. This idea that Jalen Hurts has great players around him, every Super Bowl team does. I mean, Eli Manning needed the catch of Mario Manningham and David Tyree's career to win. Those guys are okay. I mean, Manningham was pretty good.
Do you find that it's weird we always do this with guys who are not first-round picks, who are not top 10 picks, always going to be doubting them? I mean, they have one loss this season. Hurts is crushing it. Nick Sirianni's calling a great I mean, they lead the league in fourth down conversions.
Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the world, got blown out in the Super Bowl because he was missing both tackles. This idea that, well, Jalen's got a lot of help. When Josh Allen didn't have a run game earlier in the year, Remember all the mistakes he was making in the red zone?
Yeah.
Josh Allen, why? Because in the red zone, running the football it's a very congested area. It is hard to throw a football at the 8-yard line in that space. So when Josh didn't have a run game earlier this year, he was making a ton of mistakes in the red zone. So let me defend Jalen Hurts. All Super Bowl winning teams have a collection of really great players. They don't have to be great everywhere, but it is really hard to win a Super Bowl, as Mahomes will attest, if you're terrible anywhere. And Mahomes' team was terrible at tackle in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, very weird for Micah Parsons to do this. You know all the Eagles' offensive line, which is one of the best in the league,
it probably is
going to hear this. And they're going to be taking it out on Micah Parsons in a couple weeks. This is a fascinating time for Micah Parsons to pipe up and say this. You're bashing a guy who's the MVP favorite at every sports book in the country? What do you, I don't know what he's doing. This is crazy. All right, moving on.